Big surprise here. I'm going Dallas +5. I think this is an easy win for Dallas. I'm
Ooh,
gonna.
easy win.
Oh yeah. This is. I'm picking them straight up. I'm picking them against the spread, and San Francisco is gonna be in the blender after this one.
Hey, welcome into the Fantasy Flow podcast. We are your hosts, Austin and Andy. We are recapping Week 7, previewing Week 8. Andy, how was your weekend?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Can't complain. Seahawks got a W.
Yeah, they did. That was a huge win. We were underdogs by 3.5 points against the Atlanta Falcons, and it just seemed like everything went right for the Hawks.
Yeah, winning on all three phases. I mean, just the other week I was pissed off and complaining about how they weren't doing that. So it was good to see the opposite happen. Do a refresh, do a reset, and come into Atlanta and get a huge win while the Niners lose. Like that was a good Sunday. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I never thought that the Seahawks would see the division lead again after losing 3 straight games, but they're alone in first place right now. I know last episode I talked about the turnover battle and how terrible the Seahawks had been. They had one of the worst turnover margins in the whole league, and on Sunday they won the turnover battle 3-0. So that just makes it a breeze, you know, when the offensive line is doing its thing and everything's rolling and you're getting turnovers, that's how you get those big wins. I want to just kind of hit you with some rapid fire news reactions, okay? Here we go. You ready? Rapid fire
Ready.
number 1, Deshaun Watson injured, tore his ACL, out for the year. They just announced that they're starting Jameis Winston. What's your reaction to the Deshaun Watson injury?
My reaction was it was really cool to see DTR come out. Even better for the team, I think, for Jameis Winston, Nick Chubb, Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, boo-hoo. Bummer for Deshaun Watson. It's going to be fun to see Jameis Winston playing again, but they just don't have the dogs, I don't think, to really make a run here. I think they're pretty dead in the water, but good to see Jameis Winston. News item number 2. Will Cooper Kupp get traded?
Yes.
Whoa! Okay.
Yeah. Just hopefully not to the Chiefs. If he gets traded to the Chiefs, I quit. I'm done. I'm done doing this. I'm out. So don't get traded to the Chiefs because I want to keep on doing this.
Okay. The 2-5 Jets suck. Right or right?
Oh yeah. We said this earlier. Devontae Adams does not help this team the way that they need help. They need a whole They want to start over on week 1. They're like, can we go back to week 1 and play San Francisco with this team? Because
No, you may not.
yeah, because they really want to.
Yeah, even I am out on the Jets now. They're
Good.
Yeah, that's a tough sitch. Chris Godwin injured on Monday night. He is probably done for the year. Is this a death nail for the Tampa Bay Bucks season?
Wow. Great question. I'm gonna just say yes. I don't want to lean on the fence here. I gotta pick a side, and I'm gonna say yes. I think this opens the door for the Falcons, and yeah, I think they're gonna now win the division. They have to be the front runner for this division now that Chris Godwin and Mike Evans is out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a nuanced conversation. Asking you to react to that in 5 seconds is a little tough because the Falcons, they look bad on Sunday. So, but man, more on that later. Let's go to reactions from the AFC.
Can we just give Derrick Henry Offensive Player of the Year? Just give it to him already. Like, this is crazy. I said that he was not going to be a great fantasy player, and he proved that wrong almost instantly. And he's not only great at fantasy, he's also great at real NFL football. He does not get tackled, and he still has that explosive speed. It's still at his age. It's. I mean, let's just give him that award, and then if he can somehow win MVP, we'll give him that too. But let's just give him offensive player right now, like halfway through the year. Feed him some chips, and yeah, and then we'll see how the rest of the year goes.
I love that pick, especially because no wide receiver is really like running away with it. There, yeah. When it comes to skill players, Lord knows no tight end is running away with it, and yeah, Derrick Henry looks absolutely amazing, defying all the odds, all the haters, everyone who looks at the age cliff for running backs. Henry's just awesome, and I feel like everyone is on board with that now.
Yeah.
That offense is awesome, and my AFC reaction to what just happened, I'm similar to what you have, but I'm giving Lamar Jackson his third straight MVP. Okay,
Ooh.
it is incredible how Lamar Jackson, he stuffs the stat sheet, he gets wins, regular season wins, but it's a regular season award, and he just has improved as a quarterback, as the general of the offense. He has improved every single year, and this year he's looking better than ever. They're on a 5-game win streak, and I got the MVP odds right now. I'm going to pull that up for you. Lamar Jackson is the odds-on favorite right now. This is courtesy of DraftKings as of today at plus 225. So there's a lot of season to go. So if you went in on this, you're getting plus money right now. At 225. The next three are Patrick Mahomes, just because the Chiefs are undefeated, Josh Allen, and Jared Goff.
I was gonna say, where's Jared Goff in that list? Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
because he had a monster game. And I had him as my flowing out of my lineup. I said that you should sit him for fantasy this week. And did he have a great game for fantasy? No, but he had a great game for NFL football, and he handled those crazy blitzes from the Vikings with such class, and he just looked like he was totally unfazed throughout the whole game, and they ended up squeaking out a victory in Minnesota. And that leads me right into my NFC reaction from the week, which is that the Lions are the new NFC favorites. What do you think about that?
I'm gonna circle back to the Lamar. I think that is an overreaction to give the same player MVP 3 times in a row. I think they're gonna find somebody else. I would love to see Josh Allen get an MVP. I think that would be really cool for him in his career.
But Andy, is
And
that are you saying like prediction wise you don't think it'll happen, or you don't think they should give it to a player 3 years in a row?
no, I think if you were to give it out now, they should give it to Lamar. But I don't think they will give it to a player 3 years in a row. I think that's not enough excitement in a storyline. Now, when it comes to the Lions being the NFC favorite, I think we need to see them beat the Packers. I think we need to see them beat the Bears. I think that division is so tough. But yes, not an overreaction to say at the end of this week, the Lions are the NFC favorite. I can't disagree with that. I can't say that's an overreaction.
Yeah, I mean the NFC East teams, good not great. I mean Jaden Daniels just got hurt. We'll talk more about that later. 49ers are looking bad, and yeah, it was the Vikings, and then the Lions just went to Minnesota and beat them. So how can you not have the Lions ahead of them as it stands right now? So,
Yep, I'm with you. Speaking about the 49ers, I'm going to say my NFC reaction here. I'm going to say that Dallas was the biggest winner of last week in the NFC.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
San Francisco they're just not ready, and they are so battered. They need CMC back. They just lost Ayuk for the year. Debo's in the hospital. Purdy can't carry this team on his back, and the defense sure as hell can't carry this team right now the way that they sit. I think Dallas was the biggest winner, and I think Dallas has a pretty good matchup and a pretty successful path to win next week against the 49ers.
Right, 49ers versus Dallas Cowboys in week 8, and they're catching them at the perfect time. And the Cowboys are in desperate need of a win. They've had an extra week now to prepare for it, coming off of a bye. So, yeah, they absolutely need to turn their season around, and it looks like they're set up to do so. So, I don't think that's I don't think that's an overreaction. I think the Lions were pretty big winners, but they have a lot of divisional games left to go. So, yeah, a lot
True.
of football to be played, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Um, some teams that were losers from week 7. Let's kind of talk about some of these teams and maybe eliminate one of them from the playoffs.
Mm.
We've already eliminated, and let's see if I can get this off memory here. Week 1, Carolina Panthers, followed by the New York Giants, the New England Patriots, the Raiders, the
Yes.
Jaguars,
Yep.
and then the Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland. Yep.
So now we are 7 weeks through the regular season. So, Andy, what teams come to mind that have no shot to make the postseason this year?
Yeah, the last team. There's only two teams that. Excuse me. There's only three teams that have one win, and two of them we have eliminated. The New England Patriots are 1-6, and the Cleveland Browns are 1-6. Tennessee is 1-5. I feel like it's time. We eliminated the team that has a win above them in their own division, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think it's time to call it quits on Tennessee. I've been holding the rope out long enough, and they just can't find that
Dude,
that raft.
Crazy that it's
No, they just can't find anything. They can't nothing's going over there.
Yeah, it's honestly crazy that we haven't eliminated them yet. Just looking at the standing, it's like, oh wow, this week's easy because we haven't eliminated the Titans. They had a bye week. We kept giving them the benefit of the doubt. Oh, they're gonna figure it out. They're gonna put it together. And then with this week was kind of the last straw because I thought, okay, well, Will Levis is obviously the problem. And then they switched quarterbacks. They put in Mason Rudolph for this week. And I thought, okay, well, if Will Levis was a problem, let's see what they do. And they get blown out again. And it was a tough opponent, but I mean, come on. I have absolutely no problem with that. Other teams that were in consideration, I'm pretty much done with the New Orleans Saints. I think
Okay.
their season's toast. I would not, I would eliminate the Titans before I eliminate the Saints.
Right.
So we'll see what the Saints do next week. They go up against the beatable LA Chargers. They just dropped a game yesterday to the Cardinals.
Yeah, we've definitely been pretty AFC focused lately, so I think that's a smart move to look at them as a next potential target for an elimination team in the NFC because we got to keep ourselves balanced if we want to get this, if we want to go 100 for 100. So, yeah, I'm with you there.
That's true. Yeah, with so much football still to play, it would be dumb of us to just kind of pencil in, write in pen the teams that are going into the AFC playoffs.
Right.
And then the LA Rams are another team that they only have 2 wins, and news broke about Cooper Kupp getting traded, which that was a shock to my system because I was just like, does that mean that the Rams are giving up on the year? I thought they still had a chance. This NFC West is up for grabs, and they have a bye, so they're 2-4. They're not 2-5 like the Saints are, like some other bad teams are. And yeah, with McVay, I feel like you always have a shot, and you have Cooper Kupp probably coming back this week, and then you have Puka Nacua coming back in a couple weeks after that. So we'll see what they do this Thursday night. It's Thursday Night Football against the Vikings, who are going to be pissed after a close loss to the Lions.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Rams, and what do you think about you said that Cooper Kupp's getting traded, so what are your thoughts on that team?
Yeah, I'm looking here at the standings, and I'm seeing that they have a negative 40 point differential. In the NFC, they are that is the fourth worst. So that's not great. Wins that they have gotten haven't been crazy high scoring, blowing them out wins. So, Cooper Cup is getting traded, and this is why I think that is because a player's best ability is availability. That is like the cliche line of these last 3 to 4 years, I feel like, in the NFL, but it just speaks to more and more truth. And Cooper Cup is just known for getting hurt and known for missing games. And the Rams are looking to cash this in. I mean, I think some NFL teams, the better ones are realizing the equity they have in their players, and they're saying, why not trade this player and get some type of return rather than let their contract end out and then they sign to another team as a free agent, and the existing team gets nothing in return. So I think they saw that with Derrick Henry. I think they saw that with Saquon. Like, they're making these mental notes saying, why would we do that to ourselves when we know we're probably not going to have this player for the long term? So that's my reasoning is the Rams are a smart organization. They have a smart GM, a smart owner, a smart coach. They're probably going to make the smart choice. As much as it's going to hurt to see Cooper Kupp move on from the Rams, I think I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. I'm betting that it does happen.
Yeah, that's really tough to hear. I know we're both Cooper Kupp fans. We went to college with him, and we recognize that he's, when healthy, one of the best receivers in the league. But yeah, it does make sense to not let your star players get to free agency, trade them so you can get something for them. I totally see that logic. I just didn't know that the Rams thought of themselves as a bad team. Like, the Raiders moving on from Devontae Adams, that makes all the sense in the world because they're being self-aware and they're saying, hey, we're not going to compete for a championship this year. Let's trade Devontae. Let's get something for him. I thought the Rams were in on this year, especially with what's going on in San Francisco. So that's tough to see. As a Seahawks fan, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, sure. We'll take it.
Right.
Yeah, if he could leave our division, that would be cool. But yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, the Seahawks play the Bills this weekend, and then they play the Rams at home as well. So that will be the first time that the Seahawks will see the Rams. I just say that because the Rams still have the NFC West as a whole still has a lot of divisional games left. So yeah, I don't know what they're thinking behind closed doors, but that's my prediction.
All right. Well, all that being said, the Tennessee Titans, you're done.
You gone.
Let's now switch gears and give the listeners an update for our Guillotine Listener League. This week, we said goodbye to another team, and that team is mine. I have been chopped from my own league. And yeah, sad day. Yeah, what do we do with this segment? We talk about how we were happy that person joined, and we talk about why they lost. I lost because of my start-sit decisions this week. They were absolutely putrid. My starting lineup scored 75 points. My 5 bench players, who, by the way, none of them are quarterbacks, scored a combined 80 points. And that 5-point difference would have been the difference between me getting chopped or not. So if I just started my bench players, I would have been safe. It was crazy. That includes Tank Bigsby, who I didn't put into my starting lineup because I was waiting to hear on the status of ETN. But that was the 6:30 a.m. start time, the game in London, and I just slept through it, and I left Tank Bigsby on my bench. And what else? I left Rachaad White on my bench because the coach said that was going to be a 3-headed monster, and I didn't want any part of that. Turns out Rachaad White finished with 29 points in our league, and I started Travis Kelce, who I just spent over 250 fab dollars on. He scored 5 points, and I started Juju, who pulled his hammy in like the first series and scored 0. Also, Cortland Sutton scored 0 for me. So
yeah, I mean it's a pretty common thing we've been saying these last couple of weeks. If you have a 0, if you have a a goose egg in one of your players, the chances of you making it through the week is just so unlikely. Um, and tight ends this year, man, like I don't. That's where I feel for you the most. Really, is the Travis Kelce thing, and just anybody who spends up on tight ends. It's just, what do you do for that position? I mean, hell, at this point, you'll take the 5 points. Obviously, not in this situation, but like, I mean, it's putrid. It's terrible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think you swung for the fences on what we all think is the tight end one in the NFL, and he has just, him and many others. I don't blame you for swinging to the fences with this guy as your designated hitter, and
Right.
and he just, there was no home runs. So yeah, sorry
Yeah.
to see you go, buddy.
Yeah, no, it sucks, but yeah, we still got a lot of fantasy football to go. Lots more teams to get chopped. Bijan Robinson goes to waivers, so that's exciting for the rest of y'all. But I'm glad I actually got to use my fab dollars. I used most of my fab dollars. In guillotine, you either lose one of two ways. You either get just sneak attack from behind, gun to the back of the head, boom, you're done, and you have all this fab dollars and you thought you had a great team and then you're out of the league. Or you're just slowly drowning and you see your roster getting worse and worse and you're trying to fix it and that's how you get eliminated. That's how I felt. I knew my team was bad and I just kept trying to address it and I just made all the wrong decisions. So
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I would much rather spend my fab and get knocked out than to not spend it and get knocked out. So, like I said, you
exactly.
swung for the fences, and just pick a better designated hitter next time. That lesson learned.
Yep. Do I get my own moment of silence or how do we do this?
He got him.
Anyways, all right. Week 8. It's not the most hype NFL week. There's not a game on the schedule. There's not like a Super Bowl rematch like we had in week 7. But what stands out to you for week 8? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, we've touched on a couple of these games. I really like the Dallas San Francisco game. I mean, that's just a classic matchup. Sunday night football. Like I said earlier, Dallas. This is a perfect opportunity, like a get right game for Dallas, which is like a lot of people are going to say the opposite, in my opinion. Man, another one, the Bears Commanders. Like, if Jaden Daniels was healthy, this game was probably going to be the highlight game of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Caleb Williams versus Jaden Daniels. This was going to be the game that everyone was talking about all week and all of next week. They're going to be talking about it in retrospect. And Jaden Daniels injures his ribs, and they're saying he's week to week, which when someone says they're week to week, that means that they're missing at least 1 week.
Right.
In almost all cases. So I don't think it's going to be Jaden Daniels. I think it's going to be Marcus Mariota. And we'll talk more about that game later. A couple games that I had circled that I thought were interesting. I'm looking at Eagles versus Bengals. It's a very interesting matchup. They're not two, top tier teams, but they're two teams that see themselves as contenders, and both teams are in need of a win. That's what I wrote down. I said both of these teams are trying to stay in their division race, and they both really, really need a W here. Bengals are in a clear third place. They didn't really blow out the Browns like we would have hoped. I just still can't figure out how good this team is. Some people, they're talking about how the Bengals always start slow and there's nothing to worry about. I think there is something to worry about. And I think the Eagles are kind of like that perfect team where it's like, if you can beat the Eagles, then like, okay, we can take you seriously. And if you lose to the Eagles, well, then you're 3-5. And there's a lot of questions. And then for the Eagles side, you're hoping that without Jaden Daniels, the Commanders can drop one and you can hopefully tie it up in the NFC East. What are your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I'm looking at some of their stats real quick. Bengals are 0-3 at home, and this game is in Cincinnati. So yeah, they need this win more than you think for their fans' sake,
Interesting. Yeah.
for the division's sake. But yeah, the Eagles. That's you brought up a great point. I was thinking that already. Is the Eagles are hoping that the Bears can beat Washington, and then later in the afternoon, and the Eagles get their win early morning. So. I like the Eagles in this one, honestly. I think they're just a better, well-rounded team. The Eagles' defense is really coming along as a whole. Bengals are just, their defense is just up and down, and it's all on Joe Burrow's back. I mean, their run game is so inconsistent, and Eagles are tough to run on. So
Yeah.
I have the Eagles in this one.
Yeah, I wrote down the Eagles as one of my Fantasy Flow 4-pack picks, but then I saw another line that I liked, and so I scribbled them out. But man, yeah, it sounds like you and I might need to. We could make it a 5-pack this week. I don't know if we both like the Eagles. They're underdogs.
Sure.
They're underdogs.
Yeah,
They're getting
that's
2.5
crazy to me.
points from what I'm seeing on DraftKings right now. They're getting 2.5 points. They think that the Bengals are going to take care of business at home for the first time all season.
Right. So, yeah, good luck. I think this is the Eagles all the way.
The last game that I wanted to mention here, we get Bucks versus Falcons. And this is a rematch of that epic game went into overtime. Kirk Cousins threw 500 yards and oh man, the Falcons, they beat the Bucks the first time, and now the Bucks, they were hoping for revenge, but they're going to be without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and that's just devastating.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife Marissa in the car about this game today. I think Baker is going to be okay as a fantasy option. I think he's going to still be a good option and a startable option. I don't see the pass catchers, the wide receivers, so much as the way to win this game for the Buccaneers. I see the running, that three-headed monster that you were mentioning earlier. I see Baker handing the ball off, doing little dump offs, doing screen passes. Like, I think those are going to be the playmakers for this game for the Buccaneers to win. I just don't see Baker hucking it downfield like he would if Mike Evans and Chris Godwin were there.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you that Baker Mayfield is still like a stream level fantasy asset. I think that this team is still going to be competent. We've seen other receivers step up in moments, not necessarily for 4 quarters. So, yeah, I'm not totally counting them out, but man, yeah, they're going to need to figure out different ways to win now, because especially with Mike Evans. You can't replace Mike Evans. I was talking to coworkers, right, and Evans is just one of one. So, like, no backup can come in and do what he's asked to do every week.
Right. And I would love another 500-yard game from Kirk Cousins this week. That was a great game. That was one of the better games of the year, maybe the best game of the year so far. The Detroit Minnesota game that just happened maybe rivaled that, but yeah, I would love another big game from Kirk Cousins because we've seen both defenses have their cracks.
Did you watch much of the Sunday night game with the Steelers taking on the Jets?
Yeah, I did actually. I didn't have the greatest night at the poker table, so I was home early, and I got to watch a good chunk of that one. Man, was that just like so weird to see Russ in a Steelers uniform, and then it was really cool to see those deep moon balls and accurate passes. I know I was talking crap at the first half when he was struggling, but eventually he came on, and he came on strong.
That was crazy to see him have that level of success his first week with the offense against the Jets secondary that had been one of the best secondaries in the league all year. And who's making them look mid? It's Russell Wilson. Man, I mean, wheels up for George Pickens for the rest of the year. Like, I did not think this was the right decision. I did not think that Russell Wilson would actually be an improvement, just because Fields had just been playing at such a good level. I know in the offseason I kind of broke down these two quarterbacks and I said, yeah, even Broncos Russell Wilson is better than the Bears Justin Fields. So in that sense, I knew that he was a more competent passer of the ball, but I didn't know that the Steelers' offense as a whole had this kind of ceiling. And props to the Steelers, props to Mike Tomlin, props to Russell Wilson.
As I was watching the game, I thought about what you said in the previous week and how you said, don't start your quarterback against the Jets. Like, just leave it at that. Blanket, move on. And I'm watching this and saying the same thing you just said. Like, Russell Wilson is the outlier in this situation. Like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's absolutely wild. And maybe that's a good transition here. We're gonna talk some more fantasy. We're gonna give you guys three players from each of us that you are going to flow into your lineup, and then three players each that we're going to tell you guys to flow out of your lineup. We'll give you some start sits. Andy, how about you kick us off with a player that you're flowing into your lineup?
I'm sticking with the Dallas game here. I'm going Rico Dowell with the Dallas Cowboys. We've just saw that you can run on the San Francisco 49ers. They're coming off a bye. I think this is going to be an easy smash mouth game for Dallas, for both teams, and Rico's going to eat.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if the game goes how you're thinking it's going to go, Rico Dowdle is going to have a really nice game. They're all well rested, coming off that bye. I like that, and yeah, I think they match up really well. I know I say this most weeks, but I feel the need to give like an advisory warning because we are not picking players that are great fantasy assets that are obvious starts. We're trying to pick players that are kind of on that borderline of do I start this player or not, right? And especially some of my picks, they're a little bold, okay? So this week, I'm going back to the quarterback position, and I'm going to go with Broncos QB Bo Nix against the Carolina Panthers. I think this is a great week to start Bo. He's actually been much better than you think. I would challenge our listeners to go look at his actual game log for fantasy purposes. He's been a great fantasy quarterback, better fantasy quarterback than an NFL quarterback. He provides a lot of rushing value. Bo Nix is a dual threat quarterback, and this week he's going up against the Carolina Panthers, who just give away points like Oprah gives away presents to the quarterback position. Exactly. And, Troy Franklin's coming on too. So I like that for Bo Nix. Yeah, how about you? Who's your other player you're throwing into your lineup?
Yeah, I'm totally about that. Bo Nix's rushing potential has just really helped him in fantasy, and he's getting better every week, like most of these rookies are, which is something we couldn't really say last year. So that's awesome for him. I'm sticking with the same game, the same offense. Javonte Williams going back to the points. He had a monster game last week, and he plays another really easy team with the Carolina Panthers, as you just said. So I think he's going to be running all over the yard. That's just an easy start for Javonte Williams.
What a game that he had this last week. Absolutely incredible. Blew up on a lot of people's benches, I'm sure. But yeah, we're absolutely giving everyone permission to chase those points. Throw them into your lineup and hope it happens again because the defense this time is actually a pretty great matchup. I'm going to go to the tight end position, which is risky business this year. But a lot of people are dissatisfied with their tight end, and I'm going to give you a name that you probably haven't considered, but maybe you should, and it belongs to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going with Cade Otton. I think this is a perfect week to start Cade Otton. Hopefully, he's still available. In a lot of leagues, he's available. If not, you should be able to acquire him for cheap. The Bucs just lost their top two target getters. Mike Evans gone, Chris Godwin gone. And like you said, I think Baker Mayfield's still going to be okay. This offense is going to figure it out. They're going to produce some points. We just don't know who it's going to go to. I think it's going to go to Cade Otton. And he had the best game of the year last year. I think he went 8 for 100 last week. He went 8 for 100. That's the best game that he's had all year. So I think you could stay in the flames with him and chase those points because his opportunities are just going to go up, I think.
Well, I this is a smash pick in my mind. I started him. I've started Cade the last 2 weeks actually. So
Wow.
I
Nice.
love. Yeah, I love hearing. I mean, you said it yourself that in this tight end landscape we're in, the normal guys aren't working. So
Mm-mm.
yeah, I reached deep down to that bucket and I found a Cade Otton, and yeah, I'm definitely leaving him in my lineup now. My pick is going to be Rashad Bateman. They, with the Baltimore Ravens, they are going up against the poopy Cleveland Browns with Jameis Winston as quarterback now, and yeah, I think Zay Flowers is really coming on as the top pass catching option for that team. But Rashard Bateman, I mean, where has this dude been the last 4 years? Apparently, he's just been waiting in the wings for no reason, and now he decides to shine. So I'm going to continue riding those points, and he had probably the best game of his career last week. So yeah, I'm chasing those points as well.
Yeah, that's kind of a theme so far. That our players they popped off last week, and we're giving you permission to chase those points. This is another example, and I especially like it because Zay Flowers got banged up in that game.
Oh,
There's a chance that he misses. I don't know right now whether or not he's going to be in that game. So if he's in that game, I would still start Rashad Bateman, as I'm sure you would. And if Zay Flowers is out, then that's just an even better start. So. Yeah, good
yeah, I
matchup against the Browns for sure.
yeah.
I got another wide receiver, and this one did not have a good week in week 7. And here we go, Lad McConkey. Okay, I know. Yeah, your eyebrows raised. I'm sure all of our listeners' eyebrows raised a little bit when I said that. Lad McConkey. You don't really think of him as someone who's like a startable asset in fantasy. Might even be on some waivers after Tuesday runs. He's going up against the Saints. The Saints have a very hard time tackling as of late. Their best DB, Paulson Adebo, he is out, and Lad McConkey, they've had 2 home games out of 6 games that the Chargers have played. 2 home games, and both of those home games, he scored a touchdown. So, this isn't brain surgery analysis here, okay? But I think this is another home game, and there's a chance that Lad McConkey gets back in the end zone against a beatable secondary and a team that looks like it's kind of given up.
Yeah, totally. I think this is definitely the boldest take we have out of our 6 of flow ins. Will Disley was the
Oh
best
my God.
pass catcher, which shouldn't be happening for the Chargers. I mean, I said you should start Justin Herbert, and he did not deliver. If you did, I apologize. But
Man, yeah, that offense scored 0 touchdowns. They targeted Will Disley 12 times. So whatever the Cardinals defense was doing was working. That was just a sad performance, but I think it's better times ahead for Lad McConkey. And if he doesn't perform this week, then drop him. Don't let him be a roster clogger. We've done that with a couple players in past weeks where I've said, okay, start this player, and then if that player produces, great. If that player doesn't, then you drop him, because if you can't ever start a player, what are they doing on your roster to begin with? So I'm throwing him in there, and I'm seeing what happens because I think he's got a good matchup.
fair enough. Let's
All
do
right.
it.
Players that you're flowing out of your lineup. Who are you benching this week, Andy?
Yeah, I hate to say this name, but Nick Chubb. I'm flowing him out of my lineup.
Yeah,
I
he
put
just
him in.
got back. What do you mean?
Yeah. I put him in for a couple of leagues last week, and he got me a solid 10 points for his first week back, first game ever back after that crazy injury. So this is just not the week with Jameis coming back, and they're playing Baltimore. I know that Tampa was just able to run all over Baltimore. I think that was a product of Tampa, not so much that every other team could do that to Baltimore. I
That
think
was a lot
Baltimore
in
is really
garbage time too. Yeah.
exactly. Yep. Where they had Tampa had no other option but to give it to their running back. So I'm flowing out Nick Chubb this week, and I'm giving him another week to rest up on my bench and get ready for the next week.
Yeah, no, it's a great story with Chubb coming back, and everyone's happy for him. And he got in the end zone, but he also averaged 2 yards per carry on Sunday. So no one wants to talk about that, but
Right.
yeah, that's a great reason to put him on the bench against a tough defense. Sticking with the running backs, flowing out of my lineup this week. Boy, we are all over this game. It's not the last time we'll talk about it either, but I'm looking at the Panthers Broncos, and I'm flowing Chuba Hubbard out of my lineup.
Mm.
He's been one of the steals of the draft through 7 weeks. He's been outstanding. If you look at his game logs, 5 straight weeks, his fantasy points have gone down. Every single week, he scored fewer and fewer points. That offense is really bad. Whatever bump they got from starting Andy Dalton has totally worn off at this point. That offense is abysmal. And there's a slight chance that Jonathan Brooks comes back this week. Even if he doesn't, I'm trying to find a different option for my flex than Chuba Hubbard, just because the
Yeah.
Broncos defense is so tough.
Yeah, makes sense. We did just learn that Andy Dalton and his entire family, plus their dog, got in a car accident this
Not
week.
the
So,
dog.
or just today. I know, not the dog, right? Not the leg. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm totally with you there. I don't know where that spark went for the Panthers, but the flame has definitely been put out.
Yeah, yeah. I read that Andy Dalton and his family, no one was taken to the hospital, so hopefully,
Okay. Okay.
nothing super serious there. But
Good. Good.
there's another player you're flowing out of your lineup.
Yeah, this is actually going to be my last one out of the flow out because I'm combining two, maybe even three players. I'm saying that the Seattle pass catchers need to be flowing out of your lineup because the Bills are coming to town and they're bringing something that Seattle is very familiar with, and they're bringing the rain. The rain is supposed to be terrible on Sunday in Seattle, and it's an open stadium. And guess who's going to be standing there watching all this rain come down? This guy. So, I expect it to just be a low-scoring running game. Both teams have really good run game, really good running backs, and I don't see either quarterback wanting or having to throw the football. So I'm removing JSN, Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant. However you want to combo those, I'm throwing them out of my lineup.
That's super interesting, and that's a great note about the weather. You know, it is late October. This is about the time that every fantasy manager, if you have the time, if you're in a serious league, you need to be looking at the weather report every week. That is a great reminder now that September is long in the rearview mirror and the weather's only going to get worse. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that. And I know with DK Metcalf probably missing this game, it's going to be real tempting to put Tyler Lockett or JSN into that starting lineup and say, okay, yeah, this is the week. I know for sure it's going to be, this guy. But yeah, man, tough defense, tough weather. Yeah, I think that's pretty sound advice, especially if you have another viable option. Sticking with pass catchers, I'm flowing Chris Olave out of my lineup. I'm just going to keep talking about this Saints Chargers game. The Chargers defense is tough. We just saw the Cardinals receivers do absolutely nothing on Monday night, and the Saints don't have a quarterback, and Chris Olave is coming off of a concussion. It's just a recipe for disaster. It's kind of like the Tyreek Hill situation, where it's like you feel like you have to start him because of the name, but you really don't. And I think you'd just be better served leaving him on your bench this week.
I mean, to bring up Tyreek Hill without Tua point, Tyreek Hill has been basically droppable these last couple weeks, but we've been hoping, and it sounds like Tua's coming back, so there is light at the end of the tunnel. I don't really know if there's light at the end of the tunnel for Chris Olave. I mean, depending on Derek Carr's status, Olave could be droppable. How crazy is that?
That is, yeah, no, it's super sad. I don't know what's going on with this Saints team. Like I said, I'm pretty much ready to declare that they have no shot to make the playoffs. Um, the one thing that I would say in favor of Chris Olave is that Raheed Shaheed is done for the year, and those targets could go elsewhere. They could just hyper target Chris Olave, but I just don't think that not Desmond Ritter, what's his name, the new QB that
Spencer Rattler.
Spencer Rattler. I just don't think he's going to be able to move the offense enough for Chris Olave to be relevant. So I'm looking for a different option.
Yeah, I hear you. We'll see if Derek Carr, when and if Derek Carr comes back, if he can move the offense. That Derek Carr Olave connection has never really been formed, and we all thought this was finally going to be the year. So I don't know. I have zero hope for Olave with no matter who's at quarterback. To be quite honest.
Damn, that's tough. But last bonus one for the listeners. I'm flowing out Patrick Mahomes. I don't own any Patrick Mahomes, and maybe I'm just bitter because I got chopped starting Travis Kelce and Juju Smith-Schuster, but you cannot trust this man. You cannot trust this team. Patrick Mahomes has been terrible for fantasy football all year. Honestly, one of the biggest busts that no one's talking about. He is tied for the league lead in interceptions, and he's thrown more interceptions than passing touchdowns through 6 games in his case. I don't know. I'm giving the listeners permission to bench Patrick Mahomes, and it would be best, honestly, if you could trade Patrick Mahomes to someone who still cares about that name value. What do you think about that take?
Oh, I dropped Patrick Mahomes weeks ago in the one league I did draft him. I mean,
Dang.
This guy needs to be on the waivers. He had a rushing touchdown, like a baller move, like trucked a guy to get into the end zone. And how many fantasy points did he score? 15 or less. How many has he gone over 20 this year? I don't think so.
No,
depending
he
on
hasn't.
your league settings.
He has not.
So this guy is a streaming quarterback. Let me say that out loud. Patrick Mahomes is a streaming quarterback. That is crazy.
Hey, just wanted to jump in here real quick to remind you all about our partnership with BETSTAMP. If you're ready to take your sports betting to the next level and you want to support our show, we highly recommend signing up for your next sportsbook through the show's Signup Expert link in the description. This will allow you to take advantage of many new user offers available. And don't forget to bet responsibly by tracking all of your bets and getting yourself the best odds through the BetStamp app. Back to the show!
Last segment, Fantasy Flow 4-pack. These are 4 games against the spread. These are our picks, 2 from me, 2 from Andy. And last week we went 1-3, bummer of a week. Andy got us a W. I picked the Packers. The line was -2.5. They won by 2. What can you do? Tough. This week we got 4 new picks, maybe 5. We'll get there. But I'm going to start it off. Ravens -9.5 against the Jameis Winston-led Browns. That's a lot of points to cover, but I think the Ravens can do it. They just beat the Buccaneers by 10. They can beat the Browns by 10. The Ravens are absolutely rolling. 5-game win streak. It is a divisional game. I'll give it that. You know, Nick Chubb's back, but he was so inefficient last week. I'm not really worried about Nick Chubb. I think the name carries more weight than his actual impact on the game. So I'm liking Ravens -9.5.
Yeah, I am too. Once you said that if they can beat Tampa Bay by 10, they can definitely beat the Browns by 10. I don't care if it's a divisional game. Derrick Henry, this is probably a really good game for Justice Hill, honestly. Now that I'm thinking about it, they're just going to be running the ball and giving it to their running backs the entire time.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. How about you? What's your first pick against the spread?
Yeah, I'm going with another favorite. I'm going Denver -8 against Carolina Panthers. I wouldn't be surprised if this line gets bumped up even more and the number gets higher than 8. So hopefully you can adjust it whenever you place that bet. But yeah, I'm sticking with Denver -8 against Carolina. That's just an easy W, and we both really enjoy watching Bo Nix. So I think he's gonna get the W and cover.
Yeah, we've talked about that game all episode, it feels like, just targeting that matchup, the Broncos on the Panthers. And yeah, is that enough points? I don't know. I think I do like the Broncos to cover. We'll see. Yeah, rookie quarterback, but hey, I had him as my start of the week, so I think the Broncos are going to find success this week. And yeah, hopefully you can use an app like BetStamp to see where you're getting the best value for the point spread. That compares different betting sites, yada, yada, yada. You've heard us talk about them before. My next pick, -2.5. You just got to win by a field goal. I'm taking Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears against the Marcus Mariota-led Commies. Let me tell you why. They don't have Jaden Daniels, and on Sunday, no Jaden Daniels, no problem, but that's because you're going up against, guess who? The Carolina Panthers. Chicago Bears coming off a bye. That's a totally different game. I do not expect Marcus Mariota to have a similar level of success. I think Jaden Daniels was just so important to that offense. They only have one great playmaker, and that's Terry McLaurin. And they have some nice running backs, too, don't get me wrong. But against this Chicago Bears defense, I don't see that. I don't really see the Commanders scoring more than 17 points.
Wow, that's a wow. Yeah, you're probably right on that one. The over under I'm seeing right now is 43.5, so pretty low. Bears are coming off of a bye, and like you said, the Bears defense are probably a top 5 defense in the league, top 6 if you want to give a buffer there. So yeah, I'm with you. I think Washington does have playmakers, but without their star playmaker, without their best playmaker, I think you're right. I think they might show a little flash here and there, but ultimately fall on their face.
Why are the Packers only 4.5-point favorites against the Jaguars?
I don't know. For some reason, Vegas sees what they did against the Patriots and says, "Oh, the Jags are formidable." We don't know why. The Packers are getting the short end of the stick week after week, I think, when it comes to the odds, and they are just proving people wrong left and right. I like the Packers a lot. Again, they probably have a top 5 defense. Jordan Love looks like Brett Favre. I heard that today on a show that he looks like Brett Favre, and I'm thinking to myself, I called that. I said that earlier. The Packers are so good.
Everyone's going to compare Jordan Love to Brett Favre for as long as he lives. That's
true.
That's just the nature of it.
True.
I'm nervous to pick the Packers just because I picked them last week, and I picked them to cover -2.5, and they couldn't. They only won by 2.
Right.
So if I picked them to cover by 4.5, they're definitely going to win by just a field goal. So I'm just going to stick to the Ravens Bears, and maybe you can share with us your last pick here.
Sure, yeah. I'm going big surprise here. I'm going Dallas +5. I think this is an easy win for Dallas.
Easy win.
Oh yeah. This is I'm picking them straight up. I'm picking them against the spread. If I'm making my bet and I can adjust that line, I'm adjusting that line to +3.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm teasing it to +3 because you're going to get better odds. Yeah, this is just I think this is a get right game for Dallas, and San Francisco is going to be in the blender after this one.
I love that. I am totally with you. The 49ers, they're having a rough time getting together a field goal kicker. They never know which one's going to start. They're always getting injured, so that's another wrinkle. I'm looking for the actual odds for this game. Here we go. Okay. So what I'm looking at, Cowboys +164 to win the game outright. Over under of 46.5. And it looks like what I'm seeing here on DraftKings, the point spread has moved to 4 points. Your pick is officially 5 points. Again, just look around and see your best odds that you can get on BetStamp. So I love that. I love what we got cooking, and I want to throw one more ingredient into the pot here. Okay, this is going to be a Fantasy Flow 5-pack this week. That doesn't even make sense, but we are throwing in the Philadelphia Eagles plus 2.5 against the Cincinnati Bengals. They're on the road, but I don't think that matters. What's more important is that they're totally healthy and that they have an awesome running game. Saquon Barkley is clearly the second best running back in football right now, and Jalen Hurts, I think he has more command of his offense than Burrow does, and they're getting points too, so I like that. And I don't want to have a 1-3 week. I don't want to have a 2-2 week. Okay, we need a winning week, so we're giving ourselves 5 games, and yeah, I am stoked. Maybe a little too stoked. Maybe I should probably not ride the highs and ride the lows as much as I am.
No.
But that's
Ride
football.
it, baby.
That's football, and that's why we're
Ride
here,
it,
right?
baby.
Yeah.
Yep,
So,
yep.
yeah. I'm pretty stoked about that. How about you? How do you feel about the Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, their defense is really starting to come on, and Jalen Hurts, man, those rushing touchdowns have really separated him amongst the pack of quarterbacks when it comes to fantasy, when it comes to domination on the football field. And Saquon Barkley, there's a clip out there of the coach coming to him saying, "You are 13 yards away from your record. I am more than happy to give it to you if you want it." And he goes, "Nope. Let my buddies go out there and play. I don't care about my record." Like, what a guy, and what a teammate. Go Philly. They're going to win this one.
Like, so many people have so many things to say about the Eagles coach, Nick Sirianni, and all of the antics that surround that team, but I believe in this team's ability to win this division and get back to a championship contention where they were a few years ago. I think that their roster is more or less healthy, and they're just getting better, and it's a beautiful thing to see. I love a vibes team when the vibes are high, like that feels like.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah, exactly. So I think those vibes are just going to keep going. And speaking of going, we're going to call it an episode. Yeah. It's been real. Andy, good luck this week.
Yep, you too, buddy. See ya.
All right. See ya.
Thanks a ton for making it to the end of the episode. You're a real one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's a free, easy way to support the show, and it really helps us out. And leave us your comments down below if you're on YouTube, or send in your questions at thefantasyflowpodcast@gmail.com. Until next time.